Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. Back when we had the ship in Drydock, we were doing daily updates on the restoration work that was happening. But since then we've been largely radio silent, so we've been wanting for a while to do an update video on all the restoration work that we've been doing lately. A lot of you guys are super interested with the work that we do to preserve the ship, to restore the ship, that sort of stuff. And some of this we've talked about before, other stuff might be brand new. So the first project that we have to talk about, of course, is repainting the freeboard. The freeboard is the part of the ship from the waterline up to the gunwale, or the top part of the hull. When we had the ship in Drydock, we chose to spend our money on exclusively stuff that was below the waterline on the outside of the ship. Painting the freeboard was cheaper to do here because we're not paying to have the ship on the blocks like we were when we were at the yard. Also, we didn't want the freeboard to get scuffed up by tugboats and mooring lines and everything else as we transited from the yard back here to our pier. So once we had the ship back, we took about 2 months and painted the freeboard of the ship. We had a company come in called Zarnus, and they put a great system of coatings on the freeboard. It was largely cosmetic. The old coatings that were on there weren't in terrible shape, so we didn't have to take it down to bare metal like we did with the underwater part of the hull. Instead, we spot cleaned it up in some areas, and then we put a new coating over it. That helped where it was really chalky because it had been deteriorating in the sun for over a decade. That helped with where we had running rust. While we were doing this project, we also put some extra scuppers in so that all those drain holes where the water was coming out and then running down the hull, just like tracking scum and rust and things like that, that's no longer an issue. And the ship had things like this in service, but we removed all ours right before the museum opened when the ship was coming through the Panama Canal on our way from Bremerton up here to Camden. It's that tight of a fit. This was actually the third time that we've painted the freeboard that I'm aware of. The first time, obviously, when we got the ship first up here, we did scrape up the hull a little bit coming through the canal. Plus, she'd been sitting in mothballs for a decade, so she needed all the cosmetic work. And then, of course, about a decade ago, we painted the freeboard. The Painters Union came in and did it for the museum for free. And so they did that. And fortunately, again, the navy coatings that form the primer, the base layers, those are relatively intact. It's largely a cosmetic thing topping it off. That was a lot of work. Before we get to some of the later projects, let's talk about how I slept that off. Quality of sleep is really important for Trooper and I, so I chose a mattress named after one of my favorite shipyards. That's right, the Brooklyn Navy Yard built 2 of my top 5 favorite Iowa-class battleships. So that's how you remember Brooklyn bedding. The mattress I got is named after my favorite Russian cruiser, Aurora. It has a luxury smooth top infused with Titan Cool, which is really important to me, especially now that we're going into summer. I get home after a hot day of working on the battleship, and then Trooper wants to cuddle up with me, and he's like 200 degrees and insists on Beagle on human contact all night long. With Brooklyn bedding, you get factory direct quality and price, plus a 120 night sleep trial. That would be long enough to build a Fletcher-class destroyer. And a limited lifetime warranty. And shipping is free. Brooklyn Bedding has been in the mattress industry for over 25 years, known for top-of-the-line comfort and quality, but without the luxury price tag. They truly deliver the best sleep ever, with mattresses custom-made by the best craftsmen in the industry. Plus, if you're in the US, they ship conveniently to you for free from their Arizona factory. They offer different firmness options, heights, and dimensions, even non-traditional sizes, to fit right into your lifestyle or into the coffin rack of a battleship. They really have something for everyone. Before getting my mattress, I took their patented sleep quiz, which honestly the questions were a lot easier than the ones I get asked by visitors every day. But it made me really think about how I sleep. For example, it asks you if you sleep on your side or your back. I'm one of those people that rotates like a rotisserie chicken every night. As long as Trooper's not laying on my arm. I prefer my mattress to be as firm as the battleship's armored deck, but They also have soft and medium firmnesses too. Another thing that was important to me is that Brooklyn bedding is fiberglass free. I get exposed to enough fiberglass between the new RPV drone and the ship's boats that I don't need it in my mattress too. We really appreciate the help that we're getting today from Brooklyn Bedding. Remember, there's a link for them in the description down below, as well as a discount code to get 30% off your next mattress. Another big project that you guys saw us do right when we got back from Drydock was replacing the mast of the ship. Now, we were just putting up what was already there, so that's not a big thing to talk about. But while we had the crane on the pier to do that, we also were able to find, the US Navy gave us 8 Harpoon missile tubes, SANS missiles, and we were able to put those in the empty launchers that we had on the port side of the ship. Fortunately, the crane that we had that was tall enough to reach up to the top of the mast was also tall enough to reach over the funnel and put those missiles on the other side of the ship. And it was the largest crane that the museum has ever had here, so it was a perfect time to do that project. At the exact same time, we put the radar dome, which again was not an original US Navy SPQ-9 dome like the ship would have had. It was a modern one of just about the same size, made for us for free by ITAX. We really appreciate their support on that project. The other big project that we've been working on has of course been an ongoing thing, and that is redecking the ship. While we were in Drydock, we just about finished the main deck of the ship. So by the time we'd finished the freeboard, that was completely done, it was completely sanded, it looks beautiful. I can't wait for you guys to come on and see it. And we've done some of the larger sections of the superstructure as well. The area of the deck on the O1 outside the captain's and admiral's cabin, the area on the O3 near the flag bridge. But there's still some areas around the expansion joint and around the 5-inch guns that we're still working on. So those are all areas that are works in progress. Keep in mind that as we rip up the deck, we're selling it in our store. So we're selling it both as raw pieces in a variety of sizes. There's a link to our store in the description below if you want to pick that up. We're also selling it as worked things that our volunteers are making in the ship's original carpentry shop out of the ship's original teak deck. And so they've got a variety of projects that they're working on that are also in the ship store. Make sure you buy those now, because those are limited time. These guys aren't cranking out 100 silhouettes of the ship. They're making a couple and they're moving on to something else that interests them. So if you see one in the store now, pick it up now, because it won't be there in a couple of months. When we were just back from Drydock, we exclusively painted the freeboard, the hull of the ship, which means that the entire hull, the bottom, the below water sides, the freeboard, and now the deck where we've been redecking has been painted, redecked. It's all complete, the entire hull of the ship, but the superstructure hasn't. So as we've been ripping up the teak, our painters have been going in behind the carpenters and painting the area of the superstructure around the teak deck. We don't want to put in this brand new, nice blonde deck and then immediately afterwards start painting the superstructure and drip stuff all over it. So we rip up the wood, we chip and paint that horizontal surface, and then we chip and paint that vertical surface, then we lay down the new wood. So large parts of the superstructure have already been painted, and there's going to be a separate capital project coming up probably in a year or two where we work on the superstructure, like the really tall part of the superstructure there that we haven't gotten to yet, and that's going to involve scaffolding and other stuff. But we expect by this fall of 2025, when the Navy and Marine Corps are celebrating their 250th anniversaries with a big Fleet Week thing here in the Philadelphia area, that we'll have the entire hull done, most of the deck done, most of the superstructure around the deck done. The ship will be looking really good. Another big project that we've been working on to complete the ship, of course, is the other weapon systems on board. Just because we are the most complete Iowa-class battleship and we have the most weapons of any of them, doesn't mean that we're done adding weapons. So we were able to get from the Navy 7 more 50 caliber machine guns. And as of now, we've gotten 4 of those new ones up. So we've got 6 total mounted on the ship right now. We're still working on mounting brackets for the last two, but we've got those guns ready to go. We've got one of those two mounting brackets. We're working on replicating it, and then we've got to paint that one because it was kind of rusty. But that's been an ongoing project, and the volunteers have largely taken point on that. Things like the deck and painting the superstructure has been our crew. Capital projects like drydocking the Freeboard has been outside contractors, and then our volunteers have been working on some of these other big projects too. And of course, another thing that completes the ship that our volunteers are now taking point on is we just got an RPV drone. Finally, after about 20 plus years of the museum looking for one, the Navy's museum, their aviation museum down in Pensacola, Florida, had one that was surplus to their needs that they were willing to send up here. They've supported the museum in the past. Our H-2 Sea Sprite helicopter on the fantail is one of their artifacts. Now they're contributing this drone. Our volunteers are going to be working on getting that reassembled out of its crate and then painting it up to look good like it would have when it was in service on Battleship New Jersey. I absolutely love these projects. Some of them are doing a great job of preserving our macro artifact, the ship, and these systems of coatings are going to last at least a decade. The deck will last significantly longer. The paint under the waterline will last even longer. So these are great projects that are going to help the ship stick around for years to come. And then there are also projects that are making the ship more complete. Adding that drone dome, adding a drone, adding the harpoons, adding the 50 cals. These are all projects that are going to help complete the ship. And we're looking forward to these and projects to come in the future. But this will probably wrap up the ones that we get to before summer starts. What do you think is a part of the ship that needs work? Let us know in the comment section down below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, as well as a number of other business and private individuals. We really appreciate the help that we're getting today from Brooklyn Bedding. Remember, there's a link for them in the description down below, as well as a discount code to get 30% off your next mattress. Be sure to check that out. You can support Battleship New Jersey by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about us in our museum, and by buying teak products from our ship store.